Parth. I'm a fourth year C student, and I'm mainly a visual communicator, a 3D animator, and a storyteller. I'm mainly interested in a lot of VFX and 3D animation sort of field. And yeah, I'll pass it on to Amitabh.
Hi, I am Amitabh. I draw. With Siddhi, I also work in the creative education program. We are actually the youngest in terms of years spent as in the CE consciousness in this group. And yeah, I work in public spaces. I make comics. I curate shows. I program events. And with Siddhi and Ramesh, we also run grades 9, 10th, 11th, 12th for the Delhi Government School as part of the visual arts curriculum. Yeah, over to you, Siddhi.
Thanks, Amitabh. Hi, I'm Siddhi, and I'm a visual communication designer. And I've always been interested in learning and how it happens in formal and informal spaces, which includes on Instagram and on YouTube. So, how are we learning inside institutions and classrooms and outside of it? In my visual communication practice, I feel visuals create access and they reach new audiences with knowledge. And that's what I do. And thank you again for joining. I'm going to pass it on to Khushi now. We are aware that a lot of you in the room are interested in Srishti and the creative education program. And I think our students, Khushi, Aditya, and Parth, were there at some point. So the question is that how did they find out about Srishti and the creative education program and how did they get here? And we'll begin with Khushi. Over to you.
Okay, so initially I wasn't planning on doing design. I was going to pursue mass media, but then we spoke to some people and then figured that this was probably a better fit for me. And then when I started looking into all the institutes I could apply to, the creative education program stood out to me because it meant that I could pursue all my interests in one place. So I do photography, and I also wanted to figure out how to teach people or learn myself while creating through games. So this was something that I felt that would be perfect for me. So that's how I chose creative education and Srishti. So yeah, Aditya, how did you choose Srishti and creative education?
Yeah, hello. So even my journey at Srishti and creative education has been a bit of a thing. I was previously pursuing fine arts in a painting in a college, and then I was interested in how can I communicate things better, and then design felt a space where I could do that. But I also didn't want to lose my touch over art. So I decided that Srishti could be a space where I could do it. And again, while choosing the specializations, I was constantly trying to think that what am I good at, and there was no particular one skill which I could like own. I was good at small things at everything, and I felt that creative education could be that space where I could do everything, as learning can happen in every form. It can happen UI UX, it can happen in graphic design, it can come in any medium. So I felt that if I learn how to at least communicate things better and master a few of the mediums, I could get hold of a good thing. And yeah, that's how I landed up in creative education. And it's been fun, to be honest. Over to you, Parth.
Yeah, so a little bit. My story is a little bit similar to what Aditya said because before getting into a college, I always wanted to pursue design, but I wasn't very much sure about like which discipline to go for because before getting into a college, I had explored a lot of media, including a little bit of illustration, a little bit of like product design and sketches, and a little bit of animation also here and there. So sometimes like something like graphic design or something like animation, something like product design, even if they are like far apart, they all work kind of like I felt like I can like try to explore all of them to like tell a story. So when I was applying for Srishti, CE specifically uh, had like many medias to offer. Like that's what I saw, and my perspective was like that I will able to explore a lot more, like all different types of mediums to produce a certain outcome or to approach a certain output. So that was my main reason why I chose C. And yeah, so I think Khushi can talk about a talk about a project after this. Yeah.
Yeah, so now that we are all like I'm in my second year, Aditya's in his third, and Parth in his fourth, we have something in Srishti called the foundation year, wherein we don't really have a choice to choose our classes. We get allotted some classes. It's basically for us to gain a number of skills and knowledge before we actually get into our core major. So it's basically where we hone our skills and prepare ourselves to actually get immersed into our major. So yeah, that's what foundation year for me was helpful in terms of, because I hadn't acquired a lot of skills before coming here, because since I did not know I was going to do design. So I think for me it was very helpful because I acquired a diverse amount of skills that actually are helping me now in my second year. So Aditya, how was your foundation year?
Foundation was great, to be honest, for me. Um, a lot of it was like pre-assigned for us, and many of the things which like I didn't think I would learn, I learned those. And to be honest, foundation really taught me how to think conceptually, which I don't know if other colleges do offer. I really tried to understand, like I started to read in between lines. I started to look at things more carefully, and that started reflecting in my work also. So it was a great experience now that I reflect upon it. Yeah, so I think foundation is the time where you can chill and have fun and also learn at the same time. What about you, Parth? How was your first year?
Yeah, for me mainly foundation was like it was mostly revolved around unlearning the conventional way of learning, because I came from like proper like science background, and like coming over here was like completely different. Like for foundation, like we did stuff where books weren't involved, and like we played with a lot of mediums, and we went out of the class and whatnot. So it was very new to me, and like it wasn't very usual. And we opened up to a lot of like things and different mediums and ways of working. So yeah, I think that was the main like my takeaway from the foundation, apart from all the classes. So yeah.
I
So
think yeah, now
yeah,
we can move on to I'll talk about my work first. So
sure.
uh, one second, yeah. Okay, so this was a project that I had taken for my performance of understanding, which is a summative assessment, which happens in the first year. So this was the time where I started exploring, where I started actually understanding how I can use my skills in various places, and how each step in a project was extremely important. So this was the problem statement for this project was that the existing childcare facilities did not provide an integrated approach. So basically, they one that celebrated cultural heritage as well as providing holistic development to the children. So my main focus here. Was to develop a childcare facility for the IT industry, because they run on hectic schedules, and it's very difficult for young parents to actually take care of their children as well as manage their work. So so basically, yeah. So my target audience was 3 to 6 years, and the project was to develop a facility space. But I undertook the task to just take up like a whole. I did the branding as well as logo design, brochure design. It was like a whole A to Z process. And I started by doing some research about the cognitive abilities and developmental skills that 3 to 6 year olds require, and then I started building on that. And then I developed a facility space that inculcated STEAM learning and provided inclusivity and diversity, and also gave importance to health, safety, and hygiene. So I started the process by I made a floor plan for the space first, which I made using the software AutoCAD, and then I divided the facility space into regions using something called the Voronoi pattern. So the Voronoi pattern is a mathematical device that divides the space according to the location of certain points. This was to make sure that the ratio of the child care, the person who takes care of the children to the children, number of children in each zone, is balanced. So this is what I did, and then the process went further, and then I made the 3D representation of the facility using Maya, which was a lot of work because my laptop kept crashing, and we had 2 days to finish the whole thing, and it was like very stressful. But in the end, it all worked out. So yeah, this was this project. Next slide, please. Yeah, this was something that I did as a part of my visual tools class in year 2. Found out that okay, maybe visual design is something that I might also be interested in. So this is the beauty of Srishti, because they allow you to explore other majors and other courses. So then you can actually figure out what you like and what you don't. So yeah, this was also when I say I work and I want to make people question why things are the way they are. This was one project where that thought process started. So I want why is education a one size fits all? Each student has their own pace of learning, their own interests, and various like cognitive and developmental skills. So why not tailor what they learn to their own cognitive abilities? So that's where the thought process started. And then this poster is basically to advocate differentiated instruction, which does not follow standardized methods to impart education, but it also tailors instruction to meet the diverse needs of students according to their cognitive abilities. So basically, this was first, I started this project to target the rural areas. But then as I progressed, I was like, why not implement it everywhere? Like, why are you just targeting the rural area? So then started developing like that. And then, yeah, the design process was, it spanned across like 6-7 weeks. I made a lot of color iterations, and then 3D, 2D, I just explored some mediums. And then, yeah, the one on the right is the final outcome for this. Yeah. Next slide, please. So this project was a part of my design charrette for the third semester that just got over. So the problem statement was to create a game that was inspired by the game Guess Who, which is a 2-player game, to basically teach 8th graders and obviously about a microorganism. So this was, for me, it was a turning point, because I hadn't even thought about the fact that, okay, apart from textbooks, people can actually learn through other ways. And then that really, like, that's what creative education is. And then that's where my thought process started even further. And then I thought, okay, there could be more real life thinking problems like this that I could actually think about and then solve for. So yeah, so basically this was also, so I started doing my research on the Guess Who game, and then just looked over all the game mechanics and how this could be modified to actually suit the purpose. And then I also went through the microorganisms textbook, which was the NCRT textbook, and then that also refreshed my science skills since I was not very strong in science. So yeah, that happened. And then just the game analysis of the game. It was a vast process. And then just it also entailed that we had to just list down the game requirements, and then understand how many players would play, what the game time would be, and how the production. Actually, it's not a part of the question, but I was thinking along those lines as well, because I wanted to think through it fully. So yeah, then again, this prototype I created using Maya again, and then all the cards, the instruction manual, whatever is seen here, I made that on Illustrator. So it was a very fun process. So yeah, next slide, please. Okay, this was a project that I had undertaken during the study of social ecology, which is in first year, wherein you go to different places. You're put into a class wherein you go to different places across India, and there you get to learn a lot about the culture, its people, the place, etc. And it's a very enlightening experience. So this is my attempt at just trying to show Kutch, and I think these photos tell a story, and then that's how I'm captivated by the whole, like, just the way people are, why they are the way they are, and then it was a very nice experience. So yeah, Aditya, over to you.
That's absolutely oof. Uh, Thank you, Kushi. I will. So yeah, hi, I'm Aditya. I am currently in my third year again. Thank you. Yeah. So this is one of my internship projects, which I'll be talking about. So this was a nature education toolkit where I worked with an organization in Northeast, uh, where I was trying to create a toolkit for the educators in Northeast who wanted to understand and run a nature education program. This was undertaken under Nayantara and Dr. Nandini, where I was just trying to make a living case study documentation of a program in Nagaland and convert those insights into frameworks and worksheets for other educators. Uh, Talking honestly about this work, it gave me a lot of existential crisis as I was coming from an urban city. I was a man going in a very sensitive context. So that really questioned a lot about the power which I had. And so I really had to unlearn and learn what does nature education toolkit means. And throughout this process, I learned that as designers, we hold a lot of power into the things we make. And it's very important to really question that who are you designing for and what are you aiming for with this design. And yeah, I learned a lot through this process. It was an extensive process over 4 months. And the toolkit is in the form of a publication. It's available on Canopy Collective's website. You guys can look for it. And yeah, it was something which I never thought I would love to do, but that was fun. Um, the second project was Khayali Pula. It's a participatory research toolkit. This was undertaken a part of a workshop at Srishti in second year, where we collaborated with studio Project Otenga in Ahmedabad, and we tried to understand how food can become a lens to understand the social structures around us. To break it down, it's basically like how do you understand the hierarchy, the caste systems, how the society, how everything around us is shaped through food as a lens. Where so this was basically a starting point for us to how to just gather insights and how do you make these insights available for further research and for designers and researchers. This game has like three parts. It's basically like it has starter, main course, and desserts. And with these different cards, you have to collect those cards to make a recipe. So in starter, if you have aloo tikki, you need to collect aloo, you need to collect salt, you need to collect maida and stuff like that. And you have to trade those cards between each other. And while you're trading those cards, you have to talk about the question which is at the end behind of the card. So one of the questions was, who is the last person to eat in your house, and why so? So these questions were designed in a way to invoke these conversations, and the difficulty increased as we went from starters to desserts. We are still in the prototyping phase. We are going to run the third user testing in January, and we hope we really get some good insights from this and make it available for people around. But yeah, this is a part of a workshop and unlearned a lot about what, how can we. So a lot of people did look at this toolkit as a game, but it was more of a toolkit because it created insights and had fun working with this on this. Mystic Tales from Naga Hills was a children's book project which I took up on my own. And so during my time in Northeast, I was very interested in learning how oral stories can be documented. Uh, and it's very, the more thought I gave about it, it became like a need which I should address. And through this process, I was just examining that how do you really document oral stories? You can't write them down because everyone has a different variation of these oral stories. So how can design become a medium to tell these stories? And I felt that real, I felt the target audience for this could be young children And since I'm great at like I'm trying to be good at illustrations, I felt that's something which I can do. So I made like a children's book out of this project where I've documented 4 oral stories from the Naga folklore, and I'm collaborating with this organization in Northeast again, and the book will be published in January. So this is something which I really wanted to do, as I really wanted my design skills to be used at the right place. Again, it was a lot of research, a lot of iterations, a lot of work, but the outcome was really fun. So had fun on this as well. Last one is as a practice which I try to do as I'm interested into research, how design research is done, and I'm interested in how we can make information accessible to people. A lot of the times, a lot of researchers, a lot of PhD students, they write about like they do intensive research and they write it in text form words, and it often it's not accessible for us to read through it. So sketchnoting is a form where you really try to illustrate and understand what the article or what the session or what any form of information is trying to say, and communicate it visually so that it's easier. It's you can like consume it in small bites and you can really process that information. So I'm trying to learn more about this form, and yeah, this is something which I generally do at Srishti. Yeah, over to you, Parth.
Yes. Can you move to the next slide?
Yes.
I think I've added my, yeah. Yeah. So this particular project, uh, it was my fourth year, seventh sem project. And it was like a good 14-week long project. And here this was undertaken under the mentorship of Amitabh itself. So here we began with like a very basic idea, something as learning, and we were looking into the past of like the learning at a civilizational scale. So we started from Stone Age till from through medieval times, and till today at like looking at digital learning and like various form of learning, and how different aspects like political influence, technology, and how they have played in a key role in transforming learning and education at the same time. So here, while we were doing our research, I thought of taking this whole idea of learning into a speculative direction, like looking at the future, taking the history and the past as a context. And my main my main medium to put this forward was to come up with a fiction, because I thought fiction is like creates a very uh, strong sense of ideas for the users, and I thought it will be a very perfect medium to convey my message and my research and my understanding about learning and how it can be like the idea of like various possibilities in the future through a fiction. And through this idea, I came up with this whole world building exercise, which I undertook with a lot of my peers. Like a lot of collaborators were involved in this. And yeah, so it began with because I was looking a lot into machine learning and like other stuff in future. I came across this whole aspect of Neuralink. And for those of you who don't know what Neuralink is, it's a company which is doing R&D uh, around these chips and implants for humans, so that people could connect directly to the computers and other digital devices without using any physical interaction on a computer. So I took this whole idea, and I tried to imagine how will this look if a technology like this would be implemented in at a very large scale as a general technology. If people started having implants and like neural implants, where people don't really have to speak with each other, they just can interact with each other through their brains, or probably just message each other like that. How will that impact communication in such a scenario? And if communication is impacted at such a scale, how will it impact education? Because these two aspects were very like directly connected. So after this whole idea, can you take it to the next slide? Yeah. So from this, I came up with this entire world building project where I came up with certain elements. Like there are these certain corporation who like capitalizes on all these like new technological development, and how that has impacted education, how there are like I've brought in a lot of social dynamics in consideration, like what will happen to the whole rich and poor situation. Then how is technology over here will be distributed, how are people interacting with it, how is it having an overall impact on the society, and like how can you imagine a communication in such a world. So this whole project in it went in various many directions. Like a lot of my peers also got interested after listening to this idea and decided to build their project based on my context. So can you move to the FigJam map? Yeah. Yes. So I'll just give you an overview of. So this is what like the whole back end of my project looked like. This is where me and a lot of my peers just did a lot of like ideations where we kept adding aspect to make things more realistic, and how will things actually look like. So I was looking at a lot of elements at macro level, where there are many tech companies, where there are many educational institutes, are even school existing or not in this situation. And from this uh, yeah, and like my other peers also added some of their ideas into it. Like one of my collaborator was actually researching into, like his context was health futures, so he was looking into how technological developments like this, where something is impacting a human at such a internal level, how will this impact psychology, and how will people like actually think towards certain ideas. Will be homogenization of ideas, or there will be a uniformity in certain like level, and like whatnot. So like there, this project just kept getting larger and larger. Everybody came and added their own ideas, and it became like a very complex world. And so to put this, and like for my seventh semester project, I had to put this idea into some media in a visual format. So for this, I chose advertisements as my main media, and I made them using 3D animation. So I used like a lot of Blender, a little bit of Unreal Engine, and Marvelous Designers. So I made some characters. We can get back to the slide. Uh, so I made some characters, some logos. We did some branding together with my collaborators. And then because I thought an advertisement can be a very uh, convincing window for an user to look into something. So yeah, this is one of the, what you see on the screen is like one of my outcomes, where I've made this very corporate looking AV for this one educational institution in this particular world. So for this also, the ideation was done with a collaboration with one of my peers. I think we can take a look at the video, and then I can get back to the explanation.
Please let me know if the audio is working.
Yeah.
In a world where knowledge is bought and futures are gated behind walls of wealth, Forma stands as a bridge. For those born outside the gates, we are your path to opportunity, power, and purpose. We are Forma, forged for those who don't have it easy. Here, you won't just learn, you'll absorb. Perfection is a process, and we've mastered the formula. By forming partnerships with the most prominent innovators and leaders in technology, we ensure unparalleled exposure that connects us with the visionaries who are actively shaping the landscape of our digital society, influencing the future with their forward-thinking advancements and pioneering contributions. With mentors who've shaped the future, you'll find only one path here, the path to excellence, achieved through discipline, unity, and vision. From embracing the latest in cutting-edge practices to the careful step-by-step design and implementation of resilient digital infrastructure, there's no room for mistakes, no time for hesitation, only forward. Forma isn't just an education, it's the foundation for a new generation. Sharpened, prepared, perfected. Are you ready to become more than you ever thought possible?
So yeah, so this was one of my outputs for my project, and so this project is like far from done. Like it's like a never-ending sort of project, and this was like to materialize this whole idea and this whole concept in some visual format. But there are like, I don't think there are any limits for like ideation, like for this type of ideation, and I think it can grow into like much bigger medias. For example, like based on this whole concept, like someone can probably draft a movie script or like for an idea for a game, and like this can go in various direction. And yeah, so it started with something as basic as learning, and it opened up like several new like portals into like different medias and like different ideas and whatnot. So like this was my take on like the whole idea of learning in the future. So like this is based like in much ahead in the future, but like I would also like to know about like what Khushi and Aditya think. Like what do you think like education would look like in like 30 to 35 years ahead in the future, probably? Aditya. Yeah,
Firstly, that was a crazy video.
thanks.
That's great. I feel education, like this is something which I hope education should and learning should be. It should be more decentralized, more contextual to places, and it should go beyond formal settings, formal walls, because right now education is becoming, people are monetizing over education and creating businesses. So I hope that in near future we look at learning which is more accessible for everyone. This is something which I really hope. Second, I also feel like learning will be more value system based than time efficiency based. Right now, we are trying to collaborate with AI, we are trying to collaborate with technologies to make things accessible at like fingertips. But the question that is this really needed and what consequences is it really bringing? And I think that's something which in the near future we'll have to address because we are really losing on our like value systems for it. And talking in the sense of design also, I feel like designers will become facilitators of learning so that if you go in any context, if you go in any scenario, you will have to adapt to that scenario and then design accordingly. And we will be flexible. We can work in any context. We can have a lot of skills, and we won't be centered to one thing. We can adapt to different scenarios. So this is something which I really hope, and I really think that we should come together and think about it collectively. But yeah, would love to know everyone's thought. Like, what do you think, Kushi?
So I think with the Industrial Revolution in 1839, machines replaced mundane work, which was being done by humans, and then humans had to find a new way of living, which required them to learn new things. So now I think we're in the same situation with artificial intelligence. The Industrial Revolution mechanized the mundane tasks, I think artificial intelligence is automating the intelligence to some extent. So this time around, humans would be forced to learn things in a more creative manner that's possibly unknown to artificial intelligence. So I'm very interested to know where creative education will fall in this whole scenario. So yeah, that's what I think. What about you, Siddhi and Amita?
Yeah, I can go next. Thank you, first of all, Aditya, Khushi, and Parth for taking us through your journeys in creative education over the past 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, and 4 year. We have some questions for you in the chat, which we'll ask you after this round. But I think all three of you covered quite a bit of what the future looks like from utopic and value-based to dystopic, where we're questioning what intelligence will mean and where creative education will sit on this crossover. For me, I think the world is going to get more and more extreme between the haves and have-nots. I think there will be one part of the world which will be so technologically driven that we'll completely forget what it looks like when without it. Like I honestly, the place where I live, my grocery comes from Swiggy only. I don't have an option but to walk to a grocery store and buy my groceries. So I am forgetting the time where my mother would just, hail a cart from the building and say, just give me this. And I'm forgetting that muscle memory is getting lost. But I think we're going to push this to more and more extremes where you're going to forget what it meant to actually interact with the world, and I feel that part of the world will become a responsive world. We'll start responding to what technology is offered to us, what is given to us, and what behavior changes are happening, whereas there will be another part of the world which will be too deliberate, and they'll be too conscious of everything that they eat, everything that they wear, everything that they buy, and they'll be aware of all the wrong that is happening here and all the control that we're losing out here, and we'll try to be rebellious about it, but also try to create change in small movements of rebellion. But I think both will demand creative solutions. Both will demand a lot of learning. I think to rebel and protest, you need to first understand what is happening, what is wrong with it, and what I want to change. Right. And on the other end, it took us time to adapt to new technologies like Swiggy and trust them, to get onto ChatGPT and actually start asking it for questions and now using them. So I think both scenarios, both extremes will require for us to learn and understand these systems, because the misery is, and I think Aditya pointed at it and Part's whole project is based on it, is that if we will stop understanding these systems, I think we'll get confused, which I think a lot of us are at this point. We don't understand where our data is right now, where our rights sit right now. We're grappling with things and the change that is happening very, and it's creating anxiety. I think with more change, this anxiety will increase. And my fear is, let's not stop interacting with the world and participating with it in how it's happening and become too responsive and complacent about it and just start taking things as they are on their face value. And that's my worry, that we will stop wanting to learn about why this change is happening, who is behind it, and why am I doing this? And yeah, I think so. That's where I think we will be in the future, where learning will become the core of I think it already is, but more and more, I think it will become important for us to start learning about the world, because it's changing. It's not the same as we know it. Amitabh?
Wow. Yeah, I think the group has said a lot. I just have a couple of theories, or not theories, uh, but yeah, couple of ideas. Firstly, I think in the future, the first systems that will be replaced by machine learning or by non-human agency will be obedient systems. So obedience is going to be a big problem. But when I say obedient systems, I mean, let's say the armed services, your security guard, even schools, which are an obedient system pattern, where obedience is constantly at play. So the more we try and homogenize and simplify systems, the more we are opening it to be replaced. And I think will force us to once again try and rethink what it means to be human, what is human agency, what is a human condition. And I feel for once, the arts, design has a major role to play. So yeah, that's one. The other is that I feel a sense of media saturation, which AI sort of highlights, which comes to the fact that just because everybody can shoot videos on their phones doesn't mean the quality of cinema has improved. Just because Canva is readily available doesn't mean that the discourse of design has gone through. Maybe it has, maybe it has to surface yet, but we're yet to see it. So I think the continual democratization of tools, which is and sort of contests one of the bigger worries I have towards the future, which is funny it's being shared in this panel, but design as an elite idea. I think that's the biggest concern. And I feel, one thing that the creative education program focuses on is constantly is a overarching sensitivity towards our own position. So yeah, I feel the future will be learned. Also, the timeline for futures is constantly receding, when you talk about generational shifts, or you talk about seismic shifts, we just went undergone a massive shift, I think 5 years from now. And it'll keep on getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. So yeah, who knows? The future may be 3 years away or one. I don't know.
Thank you for that, Amitabh. Should we take this as a segue into the questions that we have in the chat and take them up?
Yeah.
I'm going to pass these questions to Aditya, Khushi, and Parth to respond because they're really about the day-to-day at Srishti and in the creative education program. So there's a question by Anjali, and she's asked, do the students get to choose their own topic, or does someone assign it to them? And can I also add to this question and break it up as you're responding to it? I think one is the topic that you choose to do within the unit, but also the program itself, like the course itself that you're on. So can you respond to both of these questions? And Aditya, do you want to take this?
So in a space like Srishti, we have a concept like you can pick and choose your classes. So even though if I'm from creative education course, I can take classes from other courses. So I can take a course from visual communication. I can take a course on human-centered design. And a lot of these courses have abstracts written when you sign up for them. So you really can understand what this course is offering. And when you do take up a course, the facilitator has some idea of what the course is going to be about. But usually you have the bandwidth to take up your personal interest of topic and make that project align with that, so that you will really understand, you will really do what you want to do. But a lot of times you also learn in places you learn skill specific work. So if I take a furniture design class, I will learn how to learn joineries, I will learn a lot of other things. So it's a bit of combination of how you can do what you want to do. And at the end of the day, it really comes down to how do you perceive it, like how do you want the topics, like your interest to come out through your projects. And by the end of first and second year, you can easily figure it out that what do you want and what do you don't. So yeah, what do you guys think, Kushi and Parth?
Uh, so yeah, like very similar to what Aditya said. So the whole choosing the course system has evolved a little since when I joined the college. But yeah, like because of this whole like concept, like from my personal experience, I got like many opportunities to explore like different things. And like yeah, as you mentioned, we are given like an abstract coming in our second and third year. In our first year we are like pre-assigned classes, and in second and third year you get to choose the courses which you think can align around your like what your goal is, like if you have any ideal way of like workflow. So you can like go around, check the abstract, talk to people, and like learn a lot more about like different things from different majors and minors. And yeah, I think then you can, it's like then it becomes your decision how to take all this diverse content and synthesize it under like one single project, like whatever you think your output can be. So I think yeah.
Khushi, do you have anything to add to this?
I think they covered most of it. But yeah,
Yeah.
there's a kind of freedom where you get to choose. There are certain compulsory classes, but along with that, you have a freedom to choose what classes you want and what direction you want your practice to head in. So I think the second and third year allows you to kind of understand what you want to do, and then use that maybe later in your fourth year projects, and then hone your practice like that. Yeah.
I just like to add that it also gives room, and I'm speaking as someone who bears the brunt of uh, minds being changed, but it gives room for the learning that you're undergoing right now for you to influence what you want to learn into the future. So signups, this I mean happen annually. where you sign up for the entire year. But if mid-semester you feel that based on what you have experienced in your studios or your workshops, um, you can you you can change. I think that's the humanness of the or the empathy within the system that is cognizant of student journeys to being changed. Just to use this opportunity also to give a brief overview, I think for a lot of our listeners, the entire structure that we are very familiar with might seem opaque right now. So we have 4 years. This is a 4-year degree program where on the first year, as Khushi mentioned, you have the foundation program, which is, I think, Shishti's flagship. The entire process of unlearning and the approach to learning and the need for learning that the program sets sort of serves the learner through across year 2 and year 3, which is mostly punctuated by cycles in a seminar, cycles in a semester. There are 2 cycles in a semester and a workshop. So cycle 1 with at the very least, you have to take a 2 credit or a 4 credit unit. This goes on for 5 weeks, 5 to 6 weeks. And then you have a 2-week workshop and then another 5 to 6 weeks. And that's an entire semester structure. So usually it's studios and workshops are terms that we might throw very casually, but it needs to be understood that the model that we have is second and third years are in a class together, so there is no linearity where you have, okay, second year, then third year. Second and third years can be in multiple classes together, and multiple disciplines are in one class together. So even if it's visual communication, more often than not, you have people from other disciplines. That's how a lot of our CE students also learn. Then you have the 7th semester, which Parth has spoken about. And this is an entire semester-long project-based learning, where the learner can clarify their own creative personality, who they are, what they like, what is their relationship with the idea of the world, uh, and hopefully build on that in the 8th semester, which is the final semester project. So yeah, thank you for being so patient.
The next question is if these projects are group or individual. Aditya, again, I'm passing it on to you because Kushi spoke last. So maybe you can respond to it.
A lot of the projects which we do in our classes require collaborative work because it's a very short span, and you many of the times you go from start to end of a project. Like you start from the research and then you come to a form. So many of the times it does work collaboratively. But in also classes, you have the space to work alone. There are many small assignments within the class where you have to work alone. You have to like ideate alone and then come with the ideation statements and stuff like that. But to be honest, it's great to work collaboratively also because you learn how other designers and how other people think, and you learn like soft skills of leadership, communication, which are often not talked about. So I think there is like a good combination of both.
Parth and Kushi,
Pa-
would you like to
yeah.
add?
Yeah, with very similar to what Aditya said, I think it very much depends on the like the class itself. So like I had few classes in which we started the ideation as a group, but then we diverted and then we started making our own projects, like own individual projects. Or there are some few classes where everybody collectively makes like a one very big project where everybody has their own fractions of small projects and contribution into the larger thing. So I think a lot of classes in Srishtis go both the ways, where you make your own projects as well as become a team player also. So yeah, I think Khushi would like to add anything.
Yeah, I mean, the summative assessments are individual works, obviously, and there is also the interim that takes place, and that is mostly something that's an art exhibition. Basically, there's an exhibition at the end of December, so during that time, it's mostly collaborative work, and then there is an exhibition that we set up. So then we also get to learn a lot from the different designers and thinkers we're working with. So yeah, it's a great experience. Yeah.
Um, Parth, could you respond to this question, which is, would this course teach some specific programs for digital production, or is the learning more theoretical or involves a practical approach?
Uh, Wait, I'll read the question again. This course. So like C specifically, right?
Hmm.
Uh, so I'm not sure a lot about like technical productions. So the thing is, technical productions like for in my case, for example, I took like lot of other classes in order to come up with my own technical skills and then applied it into the whole because C is very much research and like I won't say theoretical, but like doing a lot of research on certain idea, and then it's more about like curating something and coming up with different ways of like putting that content together in different ways. So like we have worked with a lot of like publication. We have worked with something like for example motion graphics. Some people also do film as their medium, and like for my seventh semester I did animation. So uh yeah, so like I don't think it includes like in course itself, it doesn't teach you any specific like some software or technical skills, but I think people can bring in their own learning and prerequisites, or they can like upskill themselves and then bring more into the course. I think there is one more question: does that involve math, science and padai? uh, I think I'm not sure about that. I don't think the traditional math, science, padai is happening here, but yeah.
Amitabh, do you want to add to Parth's response to this question of
I mean, like, yeah, I'm not sure about like the math, science, padai part.
I'm inviting
That becomes
Vanja to our open house to actually see what our students do in the name of Padhai, since they're still in an undergraduate program at length.
Yeah, we don't have textbooks at Shrishti. I think we can start with that, but that doesn't take away from the rigor. It's actually a little bit. I wish we had textbooks. I so wish that I'm sure all of you also wish that things were simpler, that there would be like someone making the decisions for you. Why why empower us? No, it's alive. That bit we can say for sure, and we have to continuously engage as learners and perhaps learn more than the students some in more than one occasion. I still remember I taught a 3D illustration unit, and actually that deeply affected my work, and you know continues to affect my work even with the seventh semester that I'd worked with Parth and a bunch of other people. It was an incredible opportunity. So it's really an environment that we create that makes media practice and and exploration something that is expected of you. Not that you would be denied. I think we need to think through media. I mean, media, medium. It's the word itself is self-explanatory. So we think through it, not for it. And I think that's what defines the creative education learner.
I would like to just add the part of medium that I feel Srishti as a space, you will learn a lot about researching, a lot about form, but it also boils down upon how seriously do you take it, how seriously do you want to learn that medium. Like I remember like Parth was very serious about learning 3D rendering and he was into it for a long time. So it's very important to like have that self passion because a lot of times people are not going to spoon feed you. People are going to take it and you have to take it up. So having that mentality is also very needed. Are there any more questions? Yeah.
All right. It looks like we've done an awesome job as a panel and left no questions unanswered. In case there are any more questions, please feel free to ask us. I think we'd really we'd appreciate the engagement. So far, we're still with math, science, and padhai.
And we also invite all of you to come and engage with us if you're in Bangalore during our open houses, or just write to us and drop in, and we'd be happy to chat and meet you and take you through what we do at CE and SMI.
Yeah. For now, I think our website page, please go through the FAQs and go through the page granularly. If you have any other outstanding questions, we'd be really excited to be in conversation with you. Yeah, I feel thank you so much for being a wonderful audience, and please reach out to us in case you'd want to. I think there are two more. Ma'am, what about the time when we picked up HCD? Okay, when we picked up HCD, does someone want to take this? I don't.
I can't see the question.
It is exactly what Amitabh is saying, is that, ma'am, what about the time when we picked up?
Oh,
Yeah, and we can speak, I think.
Hi, Anvi.
Hello, sir.
How are you?
I'm good.
Great,
What about you?
wonderful. Do you want to ask your question?
Actually, sir, I wanted to know about human-centered design.
Wonderful. Even I want to know about human-centered design. Unfortunately, this I won't be able to tell you much about it. But other than the fact that it's a wonderful program, it has some incredible faculty, and it is invested. It's very similar. I think we feel that you HCD and us are long lost cousins because we both look at designing experiences, and in as I mean, designing learning experiences is what our focus is, but that becomes a niche area within the HCD discourse. But yeah, I I would recommend you join in when the webinar for HCD happens. I'm sure it'll happen soon, and please follow our social media stream to know more.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much, sir.
No problem.
Yeah, I think with that, we have answered all our questions.